Hey everybody, it's Mark DALLMAN here, the meeting planner's best friend. Welcome to the backyard of Elk River, Minnesota. I'm here for a little summer vacation, a little getaway from the Scottsdale heat, and happy to be on my 12th Facebook Live event today. Been doing this for a long time, and we've been helping out a lot of planners, a lot of hotel salespeople, so we want to continue this momentum we have and make sure that we're here for everybody. So obviously, to start out, I want to once again thank all of our hospital workers, our first responders, people that are on the front lines for us every day, helping us with this virus, helping us get a vaccine. So thank you to everybody that that is there and on the front lines. So thank you again. Today, we're going to focus on what meeting planners need to have in their toolbox. And we're going to have a great speaker today. She actually does a Tuesday Toolbox session for planners where she reviews different meeting tips, audio visual setups, things like that. So it's going to be great to have her on. She also has fantastic CVB experience. She has hotel sales experience. She plans over 100 meetings a year. So really going to be excited to have a great conversation with her today. So, and as usual, if you have questions, obviously this is a live Q&A for those of you who are watching it live. So please type your comments in the on this Facebook section here, and we will answer the questions as they come in. So really looking forward to having a great event today, and want to thank everybody for being here. So we'll start off state of the industry. Well, state of the industry, obviously I'm surrounded in the backwoods of Elk River, Minnesota. So this is nice. It's about 70 degrees out and glorious. So, but we had, a couple big things happen. Obviously the IMEX Vegas show that a lot of hotel and planners go to, that was canceled this last week. So that was kind of sad to see, but obviously not unexpected. You're seeing a lot of airlines that are requiring face masks right now. You're also, I think, as of today, I mean, there's a lot of cities now that are requiring masks when you go out, including my home state of, or home city of Scottsdale, where I came from. So they're going into mandatory mask situations. So that'll be coming up. And I think you're seeing that in more and more cities. So also, I think the other thing that I'm seeing is some delays in the hotel openings. So some of these properties that have been closed, that are saying, hey, we're going to open up back in July. Well, now July is turning into August or September or October. So some of these hotels are really delaying their openings based on business levels. I think, we had a situation even happen at the Grand Hyatt in Baja Mar where they're supposed to open in July, but now they're not opening till October. We've had similar situation at the Park Hyatt Aviara in Carlsbad, California. And I know we had Troy Wood, the director of sales and marketing, that was on with us a couple weeks ago. They've delayed their opening because of the renovation that they're going through, and they want to finish the renovation before they open. So those dates are still kind of coming and going. But then you've got properties like the Hotel Dell that are opening up and have opened up recently. So really keep an eye on those. There's a lot of just moving parts every day. I think the other thing that's going to be really interesting is, and again, not a political thing at all, but the Trump rally in Tulsa and having 20,000 people in an arena and see how that goes. I know we've talked about waivers before on this Facebook Live event. So they're talking about having everybody sign a waiver before they get in, having everybody temperature checked and things like that. So this is going to be really an interesting test that comes up with this. So we shall see. But anyway. So that's kind of the state of the industry. It's, it's still messy out there. It really is. And I think a lot of people, I think you're seeing a lot of planners, and I'm seeing a lot of planners that you're either on one side or the other. You have planners that want to have meetings, want to get things done, want to have people together. And then you have other planners that are just, they don't want to even touch it. They don't want to even have their meetings this year. They want everything to get moved. Obviously, a lot of boards and leadership groups are, kind of getting scared right now because, they want to have a vaccine in place. They want to have some plans in place. And we're kind of in that limbo stage right now, which is why I think a lot of planners also aren't really moving forward with contracts. Like myself, I've probably got 20 RFPs that are outstanding, but a lot of those RFPs and a lot of the availability reports that I'm sending out to my planners, they're not making decisions on those because they don't want to make a decision until they see some positive steps with the virus. So, yeah, so it's the best word is it's messy out there. But the nice thing is we're here to help. I'm here to help. and we're going to go over some great ideas, suggestions, trends, everything today. So I hope everybody gets some great information on the call. So I want to bring in Lynn Edwards. She is the founder of Proper Planning. And like I said, she also does a Tuesday toolkit event, helping out planners with all different types of things. So Lynn, welcome. It's nice to have you here.
Well, welcome. I'm so glad to be here, Mark.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, why don't you first, I think the one thing with all of this we talk about is that things are so emotional right now, right? So there's the virus and the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, there's so many emotional things going on with people. And I think the one thing we've always talked about is just taking care of each other. So first off, how are you doing? How are you and your family? You're obviously in the West Coast. So how are things out there for you right now?
Yeah, thanks for asking. And I think that sensitivity in checking in with people before you dive into business is pretty critical. We'll talk today about working with your partners, but really asking that question, I get on Zoom calls and people are like, how are you? And everyone just has a blank stare, like, that's a pretty loaded question. A lot to unpack there when you ask me, how am I? But, being based in Seattle, we were the epicenter of the virus. And now, of course, we're getting all this national news around the protest, and it's real front and center for us out here in the Seattle area. Not that it's not everywhere else, but I'm just saying we seem to be out on the front there. But I'm doing well. By nature, I'm an optimist, and I think as meeting planners, we're fairly skilled at dealing with crisis or unknown. That's kind of the business we live in every day. So I'm doing all right. Thanks for checking.
Good. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience, for those of you who, don't know you and don't know about your Tuesday Toolkit events that you do. Tell us a little bit about all of that.
Yeah, I started in the hotel business out here on the West Coast, came up through large chains, Sheratons, Red Lions, worked in independent properties, small luxury independent properties. So came up through the hotel side. Then I spent a pretty good stint in Convention and Visitors Bureau, which was interesting to see the other side of that. And then I've been the owner of Proper Planning. We're a full service event planning company based in Seattle, but we produce events all over the country. And I've had the business for about 25 years. Wow. And we have 10 planners on our team. And again, 100 events in the books last year. So it's what I've done for a long time. I'm a University of Oregon Duck grad, and we had a great hospitality program. I found my passion early. That's one of the things, is that I was lucky enough to find what I love early on, and have been on this hospitality journey, for 30 plus years. Yeah.
And it gets in your blood, right? I mean, whether you're on the bureau side or the hotel side, it's just something that you're used to. And it just.
And I have loved, people say, oh, Lynn, interesting resume, you've been in all sides of this. And I said, well, that's the beauty of this industry. There are a lot of ways to move, laterally, where you get to experience a different side of this business. But I knew coming up from the supplier side that at one point I wanted to be on the planner side, and I've been firmly planted there for a lot of years. And then end of last year, after 30 years in the business, end of last year, I decided to create a forum for event planners to learn and to share. There are some universities that provide programs, but there's not a real event that you can go to. So we created a toolkit, and if those interested could visit toolkitevent.com and subscribe. And then we put out a weekly Toolkit Tuesday series on YouTube, and we've got all kinds of guests and tips, tools, tactical stuff that people can really learn from.
Okay. Well, that's great. And I know it was great because we spoke before, and when you reached out to me about, what you're doing, and similarly what I'm doing on this side to really help, I think it was great for us to kind of get together and put our heads together to, obviously share a lot of this information that we're providing to planners and hoteliers all around the world. So really appreciate having you on. So, but I wanted to kind of address the three areas here that you've been in. So obviously you're a full-time planner, 100 meetings a year that you're working on. You have the CVB experience. You have the hotel experience. So I wanted to kind of address each one of those, because we have, we've got tens of thousands of people that are watching this video, and they come from all walks of life, right? Some are hotel salespeople, some are bureau people, some are planners. So we really want to, and that's why it was great to have you on, because you have all this multi-level experience, I guess you could call it, in our industry. So tell us when your first group is coming up. When are you back on the road or operating a group right now?
Yeah, we are in mid-flow. So we had a state association, 800 people, first week in March, live event. They decided to go virtual 1 week prior. So in 3 days, we took this event from live in a hotel to virtual, and we pulled it off. I think ignorance was bliss. Had we known what we were embarking on, I'm not sure we would have done it, but out of necessity, we dug in and we created that. And we have produced 8 large scale digital events since the first week in March. We are in it. We've got 4 in July that'll be, again, virtual. And then most of our fall stuff has decided to go virtual for this year. And one of the things I'd like to point out is that, depending on where you are in your marketplace as an event, it's tough to skip a year to just go off the radar. A lot of these clients are figuring that, in order for us to stay relevant, stay the premier thought leader of this industry, we need to do something before the end of the calendar year, before they find a vaccine, so we've been kind of, forced into finding ways to continue to connect people. But I think, Mark, we're a great example. I found you online, we connected online, and I want to do business with you to help me with my hotel contract. So you can still build connection in the virtual settings. And we're finding, even with our virtual events, that people are learning, connecting, growing. Exhibitor the other day told me, I've never had this many qualified leads at a real show. So there's little wins and silver linings that we're seeing in the virtual. But I have a large event, about 3,000 people, 200 vendors in December 1st. Here in Seattle, and they are really struggling with, like, is December long enough into this where we will be in a new normal and we should proceed, or should we push into spring of next year? Then even spring, what date works? They're really grappling with it. But we are full on contracting with hotels well into 2021, and we're finding this date compression that's happening with everybody who pushed or canceled. We are really finding hard to find wiggle room and get some dates. Our first live one will likely be early 2021.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So how is, and I know you said a lot of your stuff is going virtual with your clients and things like that. How is that planning process going? How are you kind of helping people into that virtual world, and then also still trying to, keep the revenues flowing for your clients at these shows?
Yeah, it's what's interesting is when it happened, everyone, the planners in particular, were hyper focused on which platform. Planners have been somewhat around technology, but we would typically outsource that to the pros. Hire an AV company, kind of walk away, make sure they make the speakers look and sound great. And we just, even live stream, the events that have live stream was kind of this ancillary, like, let's fill the main ballroom first in the live show, and then those who want to tune in at a lower ticket can kind of enjoy this live stream. Again, we outsourced it, and now all of a sudden the technology platform is the venue. So these planners were, again, super focused on, like, do I use Pathable, or and do I use Tame, or I mean, I did 25 demos of platforms in the first week. It was like fire hosing this information. And I'm fairly technically savvy, based here. We do a lot of Microsoft and Amazon. We do all those shows. So I'm pretty savvy, but still the learning curve was very steep. And I took a breath, and I was talking to other planners saying, we can't abort our normal planning process, and we need to start with strategic thinking. What are we going to try to do in this new platform? What content translates to a digital experience? What does that do to budgets? What does that do to the agenda? What about our sponsors? And so we got into the mode of looking at the virtual platform as a venue. If it's the Hilton Airport, we're going to set down an RFP, put all our functionality needs in there, and we're going to send it out. We're going to find which tool, which venue, which virtual venue fits our needs best. And then
Okay.
our team has just been, again, finding wins and ways and challenges. And so we're just adjusting accordingly. Each show we do, we learn something better. And we've used 5 different technology platforms in 8 events.
Really? Wow.
So yeah, and it is like building a plane while you're flying it.
Right.
And we get done with the show, and we'll send the technology vendor a list of improvements. We're like, hey, this navigation wasn't as intuitive as it should have been, or hey, we needed this particular feature. And so I feel in true partnership, like I do when a live event, when you go to the back of the house and tell a venue, hey, this could have been a little better. We're in that right now deeply with these technology partners, helping them understand the needs of event planners.
Right. Hey, Brian, you want to bring that question up from Erica? I think this is a great question that I'd love to get addressed because we're kind of in the realm right now. Erica is actually a client of mine, Lynn. She's with the Hispanic National Bar Association. She has a question about the exhibit halls on virtual and how should the hours be set? It's a great question.
Yeah. Hi, Erica. Thanks for asking. The exhibit hall it's new for all of us, but these technology tools have built in a way for exhibitors to showcase their wares and services. And so what we've found is the hours, like in a live show, when the traffic over to the exhibit hall should be when people are not consumed with a keynote session. It's in those breaks, it's in that lunchtime. And, these device fatigue is real and people are having a hard time engaging and learning for a long period of time. It's much shorter online. So we are building in these breaks. The other thing that's interesting is a lot of our tools have a chance for these exhibitors to do a demo at a certain time. And so when you're on the online platform, you can either go to a breakout or you can go over here and you can watch this demo from a vendor. And the vendor experience online it's again very rich. You have the ability to, when you click into Erica's booth, you can see her, you can connect with her, you can request a meeting with her. She can have a description, she can have media assets where she could do a welcome video with this is who we are and what we do. You can schedule case studies and put documents in there to say, hey, we worked with XYZ and this was great. So I had a guy that I logged into his booth and he had his entire booth set up in his living room. He had a 6-foot table with a skirted table and his pop-up banners on either side. And when I came into the frame, I was like, where are you? He's like, I'm in my living room. And it's like, hey, Peter, how are we doing? And we had a great exchange. And I will say that across the board, these vendors need to be trained how to take advantage of a digital opportunity. So we've done some videos and best practices around how to get traffic to your booth and how to engage once they're there. But also the online tools provide great analytics about who came to your booth and the ability to request one-on-one meetings. I might have been walking down a foyer of a hotel and not really known about, Bank of Silicon Bank. But when I'm in line and I'm looking at them, I can say, oh, let's talk about, I do have something that might be for you. So the vendor feedback has been that the leads are more because the volume of attendance digitally has been more and they're more qualified.
Well, that's great to hear.
And I do think so. She's asking about the
she's asking about the hours. And like you said, when you're when you have to put it in between sessions or things like that, it kind of depends on the platform itself. But obviously, trying to plan it around the agenda and the sessions and breakouts that are already set in place virtually. So, but
I would think of it as in a live event. Those booths are set up the entire time of the show. So I would leave them there the entire time of the show. Overall, you should compress your show from like a 2-day, 7 a.m. registration to 7 at night. You should compress that show. We're looking at about like 10 to 2, 10 to 3, 4 or 5 hours max on any one day for just maximum viewership. But then build in time on your virtual schedule that says, go and visit the booths now. Just like you would on your printed program, and build in enough time for them to have concentrated, viewership. We also did a program where we did a really cool scavenger hunt, and you had to go into all the booths to find a clue, just like the passport program. We built that in there. So there are some things that are translating nicely.
And you know what? She actually has another question here that I think is, I guess, something that I never really thought about from Erica. She's looking for brainstorming ideas on what to include in a virtual swag bag. Would love to get ideas that don't break the bank. Have you dealt with any of that swag on the virtual end?
Absolutely. So a couple things we have had inside of each of the booths. Our vendors have provided some kind of a QR code or discount code and a web link. So go over here to this. We bought everybody sunglasses. Go to sunglass.com. Here's your code, brought to you by Silicon Bank, and you can get a pair of sunglasses shipped to you. So it's like you would in a live show. Crowdsource your vendors to provide great stuff. The other thing that's happening, we're doing some really cool things around pre-shipping actual swag bags. So we have an event that's a fundraiser. We're drop shipping to every attendee a little, it's like a large envelope, and it's got a coffee thing in there. It's like, don't forget to join us 9 o'clock on, so, and then I have another vendor that's doing a custom box with samples from the vendors, and they're going to be shipped ahead of time. The sponsorship opportunities are really rich as well. I had a really cool event where the sponsor actually went in and bought headphones for everybody, and the headphone color was your attendee type. So Mark, you might have blue for hotelier. I'd have red for a planner. We're all listening to the show. The headphones are branded. I mean, there's we're showing some really creative stuff. So I hope, Erica, what I would say is source your vendors to see what they have available to them. There's a couple of companies that do virtual swag bags collectively, but you might want to drive traffic to your vendors by having them claim the swag in the vendors' booths. Okay,
that's a great idea. Perfect. Well, obviously, we're kind of talking about this toolbox too, and obviously you've been doing these events and talking to a lot of planners and hoteliers and AV companies, all this different things. So give us a couple of these ideas, a couple of these things that planners need to have, because obviously the toolbox has changed a lot over the last 90 days to what is so important for them to have right now and what kind of information is important. So what would you recommend for their toolbox right now?
Well, the good news is the tools that you've acquired are still very applicable. I was just telling the example of the trade show. The tools that you refined are still very applicable, and you're going to use them fully, whether you're live or digital. The key tool that you need to have to this box now is to understand how to deliver a digital experience. And what the course of action would be to watch as many digital experiences as possible to see what the guest is experiencing. Do demos from digital platforms. They all have such demand right now that they have scheduled demos. Watch a demo, ask questions, understand what they each do. Learn what elements translate to digital. So again, go back to your strategic thinking and look at analyze everything. I would say do not try to rinse and repeat from every element from live to digital. You've got to understand, it's like if you were at a resort venue and then you went to an airport property and you just did everything exactly the same. It wouldn't translate. The stuff you did at the resort may not pull over. So get familiar with the tools. Be an educated consumer. So the biggest tip I have is to educate yourself on the tools, but also don't get overwhelmed with trying to learn every tool. Ask your peers. Get training, spend time in training sessions. There's so much free content right now to learn how to do digital events. So get educated so that you're an educated consumer. And then I think what will happen, Mark, is as we go into the new normal, the digital part of our shows, it's not going to go away. It's going to stay there. So even when I go live next fall at the Anchorage Alaska Hilton, I'm going to have a digital element to my show because you've got all these wins around increased reach. I had a show from a trade association that invited every student in that industry to attend for free. You would never be able to do that with your overhead in a live show. And they had over 1,000 students that came and learned from these pros, which is really cool. Accessibility is a big thing. If you're a state association and you usually happen in the main core city, all of a sudden all these, in our case in Eastern Washington, they all get to participate now. Accessibility for people with handicaps, closed caption, you can really stretch on these things. We have a show with an ASL and closed caption, and it's a group that deals with disabilities, and they are thrilled with the access. So reach and access our wins in the digital space.
Okay, perfect. That's fantastic. So what kind of trends are you seeing from planners? I know we're talking a lot about virtual and things like that. What other trends are you seeing that people really need to start grabbing a hold of? What else besides the virtual side of things for planners do you think that they really need to, I guess, sharpen their skills or have in their toolbox also?
One thing that's interesting is because of this ability to break this fourth wall, this digital experience and pull people in, we're almost becoming like executive producers of a TV show. You have to think about the entertainment value.
Yeah.
You have to think about what's going to engage them. You know, we had a client that did a watch party on Netflix. They partner with Netflix. At the end of the day, they did a watch party of the documentary Becoming with Michelle Obama. People were chatting. They were in pajamas, eating popcorn. And so the entertainment value needs to be evaluated, I think, even more, given this platform.
Right.
So think about ways that, as a consumer, I'm going to stay watching and make it interesting. You know, we had a show that was a fundraiser. We did a very programmed message with videos. And at the end, there was some empty airtime. And the leaders of the organization started like dancing in the studio. And people, the chat just blew up. They wanted that fun bloopers. Let's show it. Just so think about the entertainment value more than you have had. I will say the other win is, you know, we did a show and fashion industry show, and we had Rebecca Minkoff, you know, very famous bag designer. And she was sitting on the floor in her guest room in the Hamptons, and she was as close as I am to the attendees. And I started thinking, like, if we were in a ballroom and there was 500 people and I was in the last row, I wouldn't feel near as connected to Rebecca. I mean, I feel like she's telling me how to run my fashion business right here. I'm giving you all the clues and I'm just chilling in my, you know, so there are so many deep connection points that don't be discouraged about it. I think, view it as a challenge and view it as a opportunity to grow your skill set and reinvent and reassess and look at everything you've done in your shows and be like, does that work? Does that work for the vendors? Does that work for our guests? Should we do this? Should we reinvent this? And you know, and I will say from the sponsors and exhibitors, they can now have a video and their name across the bottom like I have. They can now do this really cool, like, I'm Silicon Valley Bank and we want to do business with entrepreneurs. It's very genuine and intimate compared to, again, on a stage and doing a 5-minute like speaker intro. So
well, I think that's the interesting part too, right? Is that you would think that these exhibitors and sponsors wouldn't see a virtual world as being more productive, but honestly it is, because they're being able to, you know, instead of being in an 8x10 booth and collecting business cards and having to follow up with people or having people just grab your swag off of your table, they have an immediate connection where they can send these type of videos and more information about their products virtually and in a much different medium that I think planners and buyers can really relate to, I think, nowadays too, right?
I did have a sponsor say, this is way better for us. I'm not sending a person traveling across the country, setting up a bag, putting out the swag and getting 2 visitors and packing up and going home. This is, you know, efficient. This is cost effective. This is still an opportunity to generate leads. And so that's interesting. I see Erica had another question about the registration fees. We're seeing that the digital event ticket is about 40 to 50% less than the regular registration fee. That's kind of an industry standard, but you got to take a look. But it's, you know, you think they're not getting chicken and, you know, that kind of thing. So it's about 40% less is what I'm seeing across the board.
That's great.
And she also asked about some social things that we're seeing. We have had some really fun happy hours. There's there's several resources I could make available, Mark, to you. But there's I've seen people get in small groups and play Pictionary games virtually. That's super fun. I've seen we brought in a bartender to do, we had an event on Cinco de Mayo, and he brought in, and we sent the recipe ahead of time, and he made these like super margaritas, and he demoed it on the virtual event. So we had a show that was a fundraiser. It was supposed to be, you know, wonderful steaks and wine and chocolate. And they drop shipped all the food to all the people who've paid to come. Then they had a chef go on and teach people how to cook a perfect steak.
Really?
So it was
Okay.
really fun. Yeah. And so they did that before the show, like at 1, and then the event was that night. Here's how you cook your perfect steak. Record this. You'll have it for tonight.
Yeah.
Enjoy your wine and chocolates. And food is a great connector. So think about ways to add, like at a reception in a live event, people come for a free cocktail and the food. So if you can connect that to your guest experience in a fun way, I would recommend that. There's really fun game shows, virtual game shows. I just saw one this week where they had an MC and then everything was polls, and you got little coins for how well you did. And so there's a lot of fun things to do in this space. Just keep researching it.
Yeah.
But virtual happy hours, search for that kind of stuff and you'll see some good resources.
Okay. So obviously planners now, there's, like we were talking about, there's a lot going on, and they're trying to basically relearn their job in this virtual world. And like you said, also trying to keep that as a part of their future events for whether it's later this year or early next year when they're having hotels or having events back at hotels, and trying to keep that same, virtual portion of it. But obviously there's a lot of, there's also a lot of planners that are just lost, right? They're hurting, their registrations are down. They're having to go through all these cancellations. They're having to pay cancellation dollars to a lot of these properties because a lot of their leadership doesn't want to have meetings in hotels. So for a lot of these planners that are just been beat up, basically, the last 60, 90 days, what do you recommend, or what kind of things would you recommend to those people?
It's been really hard. And I've seen this week, I saw 2 large event companies that I've, known about, and they just closed their doors. And it's heartbreaking. These people have spent their whole world, working in this industry. And at the end of the day, we're in the business of gathering, and we got hit first, we got hit hardest, and we'll probably be the last to rebound because that's our business, is being in the same space together. But I think what I would say is, if you're struggling, there's an incredible opportunity right now while we're kind of in this weird interim to, again, sharpen your skills, learn, get a designation you've always wanted to get, reassess your inventory, reassess your overhead of your business. Some planner told me the other day she went into all of her auto deducts for the monthly expenses, and she said she found like $700 worth of stuff she had some Spotify Premiere. She's like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
So, take the time to create standard operating procedures. When you're running 100 miles an hour, there's so much of this stuff we never did because we were too busy getting on a plane to the next show.
Yeah.
Find new vendors, take the time to go find 2 more new AV partners. And what do you do and how do you do it? And here's my show, go back out to bid with other vendors during this time to build your stable of partners. Those are things that are positive. They feel like you're moving forward. Attend other shows, be a guest for a change, sit into these free seminars and really feel like, what do you need as a guest, and put yourself in those shoes. So those are just some tips that I would recommend. Okay,
fantastic. Well, obviously I want to move on to the second part here with CVBs. So obviously you had bureau experience there, and how do you see the support role and the CVBs changing moving forward? Or what things can they do to help out more?
Well, I've got a couple things from my personal experience, not as a CVB person, but working with CVBs in the last 3 weeks. Many convention bureaus had to furlough people. And I've had a couple bureaus that I've reached out to that it's just crickets. So one thing I would say to CVBs is you've got to find somebody to answer the phone or answer the emails. Even if you just have to have someone on at the other end of the line, because if you're not there, and if I send something and I don't even get a email back that says Susie is gone, reach out to Debbie. If I don't get anything like that, and it just goes into the abyss, I start working directly with my hotels. So the CVBs are getting, I'm going around them because there's, on the other hand, there's been some amazing wins. Interestingly enough, San Diego, shout out to San Diego CVB if there's anybody on here, they have done an incredible job of keeping me informed with what the status of San Diego is. And they sent a big thing, and they came out and said, San Diego is open for business. Our dates are filling for 2021. If you want to come here, get in, let's start talking. So I would say, you have to continue to sell. You have to be sensitive that the planners are, like everybody, not sure what the heck we're doing yet.
Right.
It's all in flux.
Right.
But come at it with a creative way. You know, send me as a planner a little cup of sunshine or coffee or something from San Diego or Boston or whatever, and tell me we're still here. We want your business. You know, providing resources. You know, there's Seattle's building the new convention center. You know, that bureau needs to tell me, how are we doing on that construction? When are we? Is the construction back up and going? Are we still set to open, you know, fall of 2022? Because I've got a big thing for 2025 and I want to know what's happening. Sending me pictures of the construction. Look at, we're making progress, or look at, we're open. We now have sidewalk dining. You know, send me a video or a picture. Keep me informed and stay top of mind when I'm ready to buy a city.
Communication, right? I think it's just, it's so important, like you said, not only to obviously be there when the emails and the calls are coming in, because like you said, there are some bureaus out there where there's nobody there and you're not getting responses back and things like that. And we understand why. I mean, it's kind of the same on the hotel side occasionally, where, you know, your hotel salesperson's gone and basically you're just dealing with a director of sales and marketing now. So I know that part is out there, but I think, like you said, I think the important thing to really tell bureaus now is keep communicating what's going on in your city, especially new openings, renovations, maybe hotels that aren't opening, or different updates on, you know, group gathering bans, whatever it may be. Just give us that information so we know that you're still there. And because obviously the bureaus are such a vital part of knowing what's going on in that city that you may be considering for your next RFP. So,
well, and I think I'm a big proponent of a partner being a resource rather than just a sales agent. And, you know, I had a print company that sent me a really cool email with a picture of what the registration area could look like, but what signage could go in there. So they literally put in front of me visually, oh, here's where you put the little feet stickers on the ground for distancing. And here's how you do the elevator signage to minimize the traffic, you know, and the amount of capacity. So by them proactively showing me a new normal, that just huge, you know, kudos and bonus points for me to call them when I'm ready to put in a print order. And I think any vendor partner could do that. There's a hotel in Portland that did a really cool thing. They put these cell phone sanitizing stations at their reg desk. So when you go in and you're checking in, you can put your phone down in this little case, and while you're doing your, you know, check-in, it cleans your phone.
Oh, really?
And I was like, this is such a
great
little,
idea.
like, it's, isn't that cool?
And
so
you just the plug-in stations,
right?
Yeah, the plug-in stations used to be big, or obviously are still big, but a sanitizing station for a phone, for a cell phone, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Super cool. And they only bought like 5 across their front desk, right? And now I go in there and I'm like, okay, this is saying they are about safety and sanitization. It was something, it was a talking point for her to reach out to me and tell me, Lynn, this is what we're doing. It's just, it just, that's the kind of creativity that I would encourage, again, all bureaus and hoteliers to do. Show me, tell me, be a resource. Hey, we've rethought about, Lynn, how our ballroom's going to look with classrooms with 1 per 6 foot table. And they show me a diagram and I'm like, this is amazing. It gets me encouraged. It gets me like, I see them as a proactively thinking about how they can welcome me safely, me and my attendees.
And I think the thing that that I've talked about on this before with other planners and hoteliers is that the one thing that you're finding now is that these RFPs from planners are so much more emotional, because the safety of their guests and the attendees is their responsibility, honestly. So that's the other part of this. Not only, you know, taking care of that, but like you said, you need to really, that's the new selling point, I think, for hotels. We don't want to hear about, you know, your spa and, you know, your golf course and things like that. It's like, I want to know how you're going to keep my guests safe. I want to know how you're going to keep me safe. What kind of sanitation guidelines do you do? What are some new and innovative ideas that you're coming up with to really help my attendees feel good? And we've talked about this before too, with the Connect show that was in New Orleans in August, where they sent out a sheet ahead of time where, hey, here's all the things that we're doing. Here's the thing the hotel is doing. And I thought it was fantastic, because I think a lot of people, as they start to go to these meetings now inside properties and hotels and event centers, they're going to want to know, hey, what's this place doing? how are they keeping me safe? And until we have those safety standards, or at least some type of safety information to allow these attendees, it's going to be hard for them to trust that they're going to be in a safe space.
Well, and I want to say to all the venues out there that, you know, I've been working with several industry think tanks around, you know, the venue sanitization, just safety. So, you know, I'm on the call with these venues and they're like, if we do all these things, Lynn, would you bring a group back? If we check these safety boxes? And I said, well, I just want to tell you that I commend you for doing it. And yes, that's going to make me as a planner recommend and feel safer to put a group there. At the end of the day, it's about customer comfortability being back together. You know, it's about customer confidence that they can be in a ballroom with 200 people or 1,000 people and be safe.
Right.
And I don't know when that's going to happen. You know, every hotel could come out tomorrow and say, we've checked all the boxes. We're super clean and it's going to be amazing.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Even if I feel comfortable traveling, I'm pretty like risk averse. I'm like, let's do it. You know, I wear my mask and let's get in there and mix it up, but not. It depends on your group. You know, if I have a group that's more elderly, then they may not be comfortable yet. It may be a while till they want to rebook. So just keep that in mind. That doesn't mean stop moving forward with your safety measures and communicating those. It just keep in mind that, and don't be discouraged because it may not be in your control. It may be in the hands of the attendees and their comfortability with coming back.
Yep, absolutely. And one more thing on the CVB side, have you seen any great promotions or things that you're getting from bureaus now that is really working well, or things that I mean, I know you gave a shout out to San Diego and that's great. And again, the communication of things, but have you seen any special promotions coming out or things that assist you as a planner that you've,
I have seen some, again, photos or diagrams of how things can work in their, you know, like the message. There's been some emails. I'm trying to think of which one I think it was maybe Austin. Sorry, I don't know the shout out. Maybe it was Boston, but they were again saying we are gearing up to have you back. And these are the proactive things that we're doing to welcome you. And I think that's what I would recommend to a bureau. You know, you can't come hard on a sales effort right now. I don't know. I don't know if I'm having my December 1st event. You know, I don't know when my, you know, tech groups are going to be ready to get back side by side. You know, all these technology companies in Seattle they've extended the work from home till the end of the year. I mean, Amazon, Microsoft, everybody's staying home till the end of the year. So again, with, you know, and Microsoft took all their shows online and they were just like, we're just not going to have our own events yet. So the other thing is there is differing information by county and by city. I know that I'm in a county right now. I'm visiting Portland, Oregon, and some of their stuff is open that's not open in Seattle. So again, keep me informed of your stages that you're working through as a community, because some cities might be better positioned to come back and say, we had little or no incidents here of COVID at all. And we've done all these measures and we're open for business. And they may be first to market over some of the other larger cities.
And that's something I think I realized when I started doing this, you know, a couple months ago, was having these state and city gathering bans available for people. And we actually have somebody with HPN Global that keeps that updated almost daily for us with all these changes, because obviously we've seen so many changes in the gathering bans, state bans, city bans, county bans, like you said. Just staying informed of what's going on a weekly basis is so important. So yeah, that is great information. There's
also a note in the comments about the All Seated, which is an amazing, you know, software tool to do diagrams. And they've incorporated that really cool feature to know whether, you know, if you do a floor plan and there's red on the floor plan, you're not in compliance with social distancing. So you can move those tables and number of chairs. And so shout out to All Seated for being a proactive partner in the technology space to help us get solid floor plans that work.
And actually a shout out to them also. We actually became partners with them about 2 or 3 weeks ago when they first came out with this tool to help them sell the tool and help with our planners with our company. So yeah, it's been a great addition. So that's fantastic. Now getting into hotels. So you have all these hotel sales managers now, right? We're talking about, you know, more of these emotional RFPs and things like that. What can you tell hotel salespeople as you're trying to not only get their jobs back and reopen their hotels and get more business back and help out all these planners. What kind of advice can you give people, since you worked in hotels yourself? I worked in hotels for 20 years.
Yeah.
What can you tell some, especially some of the younger generation that haven't gone through a downturn like this, where you can't just accept leads anymore. You got to go out and find the business. And now even more so, you need to make an emotional connection with these RFPs. And so what would you recommend to these hotel salespeople now in this environment?
I do think what's happening is we are going back to a really heavy relational business where it's not just order taking. And, there's a lot of, things have been good for a long time. And I was a hotelier in, I'm trying to think which one, Desert Storm, I think, or something.
Yeah.
There was, something that really impacted our business. And, it just forces you to create real connection, not just be email me or I just got an email inquiry. Let me send back a form letter with a proposal, and we don't ever talk. We don't ever really understand. It seems like when I came up through the hotel hospitality business, I learned from a hotel salesperson that told me it is all about relationships.
Absolutely.
I had a customer that knitted me a baby blanket 25 years ago. We had incredible connections with people. We were hospitality people that were inviting people into our home. We were there to greet them when they came into our living room. We were there to make sure their show stood up and was rolling well. Right now I've had experiences where, a salesperson will sell something. I'm there on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. trying to move into a big, host hotel, and I've got nobody knows what's going on. I got a security guard, and my hotel salesperson, that's Sunday morning. My hotel salesperson cruises by Wednesday. How's it going? It's like, well, it's going fine now. 3 days later, it was a rough start. I'm not gonna lie. And you sold me a relationship that you would, ensure that this happened. And it's just super critical to get connected. Find out what's happening with my business. Follow my Instagram. It's not okay to call me and be like, you have any meetings that can come to our hotel? You have enough resources at your disposal to know exactly what proper planning works on. You can go to my clients' websites and find out when their show is. You can go to all of our social media and find out the pictures of how big. Hey, here I am coming to you from Navy Pier in Chicago. Well, you know how big my group is. Does that fit for you or not? So the other thing I would say is I go back to becoming a resource. I remember the day that the executive director of the Washington State Bar called me and said, Lynn, I know we're not going to use your hotel, but I have a question about a contract. And this huge light bulb went off I thought to myself, she doesn't see me as a buyer seller of a box hotel. She sees me as an industry pro, and she wants my advice on this contract. So that was amazing. And so several of the hotels have done very creative things. They've opened up small boardrooms for planning meetings with, you got great Wi-Fi. I saw one hotel that actually rented every other room as individual offices for people for the day. People have been at home and they were working with their kids online with school, and they just wanted to check into a hotel for the day and have free Wi-Fi, and a nice room to work in. I thought that was super innovative. Just like the hotel cleanser, this is a cool way to use your space. Many hotels have built a virtual studio in one of their small meeting rooms. And they promoted that and said, Lynn, come and do your keynote session from here. We have an AV team. You can come into our studio, and that was an amazing thing. And I paid rent for that. So there are still ways to be in business through all of this. Showing that you have a heart, connecting with, hey, we offer, a certain number of our rooms to frontline first responders to come shower after long shift and decompress before they go home. There's just really creative things that you can come at this from a partnership, a relationship perspective.
And make it more emotional, right? A
more emotional connection. And be an educated consumer. Again, do your homework. If you've got a list of the top 3-5 clients that you really want in your hotel, spend this time researching those events. Go to all their past event, information online and be like, we see you were in sunny Orlando. We're in sunny Arizona. These things match up. We think we can host, so use your time wisely to become more educated, be compassionate, come from a place of authentic connection, and then be creative. That's the things that I would say are key.
Well, then a final question on the hotel side. what about the creative side of hotels? That have you seen any creative F&B ideas setting up? I know we talked about all seated, but what
Yes.
kind of, sanitations, things like that? What have you seen from hotels or things that have kind of caught your eye? I know you talked about the phone, sanitizer. I think that's a fantastic idea that hotels should run with. But what are some other things that you've seen out there?
Yeah, I just saw a picture. A meeting planner friend sent me a picture. She had a small group that went to a golf destination, and we were talking about the life of buffets. Are they
Okay.
ever going to be back?
Right.
And she sent me a picture from a hotel, a resort that had a buffet, super cool display, but everything was individual containers. And so there was no self-service or no cross
Yeah.
concern of,
Right.
but everything was individual and really cool containers. It looked
Okay.
amazing. The other thing is I was working with one hotel and we talked about a coffee break. And I said, let's think about this like a drive-through coffee latte place. And let's just tee up a bunch of, coffee that's made in the back. And we can just be like, you want, just from like a window service, what came back quickly was curbside service.
Right.
So think about that maybe in even the banquet space. How do you get that curbside service thing going on? Box lunches, individual plated, the use of I'm going to forget the name, but the containers on top. So people feel like nobody has breathed on their food before it was served to them.
Right.
What's that cool word? Someone knows that cool word. What are your hoteliers? But the covers, invest in really pretty covers that you can put on top of your food and you can still do service and people will have that comfortability. I think that pre-packaging of everything, for a while there was a grab and go sensibility on a lot of our breaks of just give me a protein bar and I just take it and I don't want to get in and scoop up a bunch of yogurt because I'm concerned how that worked. So be thinking about those things, pre-packaged, curbside service, the expediting service, and then just be creative with concerns that people have. The covers, food.
Yeah. I think the nice thing is, though, I think a lot of our food and beverage events, though, and creative food and beverage ideas, we're kind of going that direction already the last 5 years, basically, where you've got individual carving stations, but individual service, where you've got a chef there, but then they're serving, tapas, basically. So I think the nice thing is we were kind of in that lane already a lot on the food and beverage side. But yeah, to get rid of the deli making sandwich buffet. Some of these other buffet lines, I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. But yeah.
No, and I think you could. There's interesting ways to do swag bags. When we come back and have those nutritional things already prepackaged in there. If I was in a hotel food and beverage department right now, I would be thinking. I would be crowdsourcing from everybody on the team. What would make you feel comfortable from a food consumption standpoint? And I would be setting up these displays and taking pictures and sending them to your planners. There's one thing when I talk to hotels, but can you send me a picture of how the chicken breast presents? Like how big a serving? Like show me the buffet setup. Show me that it's individual containers. So think about that. You have this window when you're not super busy to prepare all of your sales and promotional materials in a way that's much richer and much more enticing for me to go, oh, I don't have to come to a tasting. I saw your buffet. It looks amazing. And I'm going to show that picture of your buffet to my board so they can see that we've thought of all of this.
Exactly. And I think that's the other thing that we've talked about a lot the last couple of weeks is that as groups start to consume in some of these properties, everybody wants to see it. Hey, show us how your social distancing looked in your general session. Show us how your lunch buffet looked. Show us how your breaks looked. People want to see that. Planners want to see that. And I think, the more we can share that kind of information with everybody. And like you said, especially a lot of the leadership, they're like, okay, well, if we're going to do this, what's it going to look like? And planners are like, okay, well, it's going to do like this and this. And they're like, well, show us a picture. Tell us about a group where it's actually happened. And I think that's the information that people are really going to want in the next couple months here as we start to get some groups back into properties is really how does it look? Show me a picture. Let me come and even look at your event and see how it runs. So.
And video, video is a powerful tool. Pictures are great, but I would be, if I had a group that was in, I would be having one of our hotel people, social media people or video guy, the AV team say, hey, you guys, you're our preferred vendor, come over here with a mic and a video camera. We're going to ask people, did you feel safe in the Hilton Airport? You know, did you tell us what you liked about the new and improved, you know, safety measures that this hotel has employed, you know, and get an attendee saying all of the buffets were individually served, and there was hand sanitizers at every corner, and the tables were set far apart. Like, a video story and testimonial is super compelling.
Right.
And I would be
even
using
like
that.
when people were taking pictures of, like, when, you know, they talked about the middle seats not being open in planes, and then all of a sudden somebody's taking a picture of a plane just totally full. It ruins everything, because people are like, oh, well, they're not social distancing, or they're not doing what they said they were going to do. So I think as we go through this, people are really going to want to see how those hotels operate, and how the presentation is, and how the setup is. So that's going to be vital moving forward the next couple months.
Well, and I just want to make sure that, you know, we can't be in the gathering business, the live gathering business, without hotels and convention bureaus. You know, the planners, you're our product, and you're our platform for people to connect. And be patient, hang with us right now as we have to go to virtual because of the situation, but we will be back. You cannot replace live connection and live gatherings. And so we'll be back. So be patient, be innovative, be creative, stay top of mind, stay connected to me in a relational way. I want to encourage everybody. I know it's been, I can't even imagine, incredibly tough on hotels and your teams, and, you know, losing staff and furloughed and having to get even leaner than before. But we'll be back as a planner.
Absolutely.
So,
well, Lynn, I tell you what, I really appreciate your time today. It was great having you on. So much great information, especially on the virtual side, and some of the great hotel ideas, and the communication with bureaus and hotel salespeople. I really appreciate all those great comments and everything. So I do want to also tell people, if you have additional comments, that you can just put it right in the comment section of the Facebook Live event that we're on right now. We'll do a live Q&A here. If anybody has any other questions for Lynn, be more than happy to answer those for her. So I'm not sure if we have anything that's popping up, but I think we've gone through quite a bit.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would, you know, I would welcome an opportunity to, you know, our Toolkit Tuesday events are opportunity to have partners on. So if there's someone who would like to be a guest and share what's going on with your venue or your city, I would welcome that. You can, again, check it out at toolkitevent.com. And if you subscribe, you'll get all of our free content. What I'm trying to give back to the industry that I've loved and given to me for 30 years. So I'm trying to really share best practices, be vulnerable, and share when we met, you know, when we mess up, to showcase partners, give them a platform to come on and have a chat with two seasoned pros talking about it. So Mark, I'm looking forward to working with you. We're going into contract season with, you know, for live events next year, and there are a lot of sticky wickets. So even a long-term pro like myself, I'm looking forward to working with you to get a best practice in place around force majeure and all of those cancellations and attrition and all of those other, you know, sticky wickets. So thank you for being a resource to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Lynn, I tell you what, thanks again for being on. Just a ton of great information today that you shared. So thanks again, and we'll stay in touch, and stay safe and happy out there.
Thank you so much. Hang in there, everybody. I know it's challenging, but we're an amazing industry. So I look forward to connecting with everybody.
Perfect. Thanks.
Take care.
I appreciate it. Thanks again, Lynn. It's fantastic. That was great. Well, yeah, thanks to Lynn Edwards there. Like she said, she does a Toolkit Tuesday event that's kind of similar to this, the one that I do here for planners and hoteliers. So I was happy to get her on and share a lot of great points. I think that's probably the best information that I remember about virtual today. It's just some really great ideas, great suggestions that she has. And obviously she's been working pretty full on the virtual side for the last couple months. So I thought you brought some great points to the table. So, but I do want to see if there's any other questions for me at all, anything else that is coming in. Be more than happy to answer any questions. Obviously, it's a beautiful sunny day here in Minnesota, but I do want to, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, it's, you know, I've been doing this a long time now, and I'm glad that we can share some great information and great stories for our, you know, planners and hotel partners and CVB partners, because we're all in this this big old mess together, but we're going to get out of it and everything's going to be okay. So I do want to reiterate, obviously, if you have a hotel contract, you don't know what to do, you don't know what your options are, email it over to me at mdallman@hpnglobal.com. I'll do a free contract review for you, give you some consultation, give you some honest advice. You can do that at any time. And obviously, you know, we're talking about some of the tools in your toolkit, some of the things obviously that are very, very important. And if you need this information, again, please email me and let me know. Is the state and city gathering bans are huge. The COVID checklist that Emergency Concierge International put together for us. Also, some of the all-seated information. If you need that, let me know. But there's a lot of great information, a lot of great resources out there. So please let me know if there's anything you need or anything that I can help you guys out on. I'm obviously here to help at any time. You can also check out my website at meetingplannersbestfriend.com. There's some more, you can check out some of my old videos from my weekly Facebook live events that we've been doing. So Holly, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, Holly was actually, she's a new client of mine that was watching one of our first or second Facebook live events, and we've been helping her out on a bunch of items right now. So thanks for watching, Holly. But thanks to everybody. Appreciate you watching. Please stay safe, take care of each other, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.